This is the Retirement Solution Podcast with financial advisor Jon Hicks, founder of J. Hagan Capital.
Well, there's news, and then there's good news, and then there's news like this news. What?
Oh, that kind of news. Oh, I wasn't aware that we were going to talk about that kind of news today, but fair enough. Why not?
This is Jon Hicks, founder of J. Hagan Capital. I'm Heather Branch here asking Jon about if I've read it. And you're watching this YouTube channel or listening to this podcast, you've probably read it too. And I want your take on this. So Moody's Analytics,
Sure.
They've been tracking the economy for more than 80 years. And they have a model number, and they say that when this particular model number hits 50%, that a recession follows. And it has apparently never been wrong as long as they're tracking this number. Recently, that number moved to 49%, which means we're 1% off from that 50% that has correctly predicted a recession over the 80-year course of time. I was just looking this up, though, because as of we're recording this August 2026, so this number was released in April, Jon.
Sure.
But it doesn't seem to have changed either. And April was before the war in Iran broke out.
Absolutely.
Thoughts? What do we need to know? What does this mean?
Yeah, so whenever we have a kind of a volatile market system, which is what we've been having, right? So whether Trump 1.0 or Trump 2.0, he creates volatility in the markets. Some of it's positive, some of it's not positive, but the overall understanding is things go up and down a lot. Now, whenever, though, we get one of those signals, those indicators, and this is not the only one that's kind of been flashing a little bit of a red signal, or at least up until now, a yellow signal. It's just saying, hey, just so that we know, all of us out there looking at the markets, loving the fact that it keeps going up, because that's good. But if we take a quick pause and just take a beat and look at what it's saying that there is a pretty high probability that we could be in recession territory, or what could lead to a recession. Now, it is not eclipsed that. The Moody's Analytics indicator has not hit that magical 50% number, right? And what this is it's just a guessing game. Let's be straight up. You know, every time that someone tries to get out their crystal ball and figure out what's going to happen, they're almost always wrong, no matter what they predict. It's like the weatherman saying rain for 2 straight weeks, and there's no rain at all. And all of a sudden he says, no, today it's going to be a perfectly clear sky. And then all it does is just rain in buckets. So we have to take it with a grain of salt. But the understanding is, why is it a big deal if we go into recession? What we always tell our clients is, hey, if you have a correct style plan, doesn't have to be perfect, but if you have the right style of plan, it kind of won't matter. Let me say that again. If you have the right style of plan, it kind of won't matter if we have a recession or not. Now, for a lot of people, it may be uncomfortable, but that doesn't mean that you can't retire when you want and live the way you want for as long as you live, right? So one of the things I'm looking at whenever I see these potential recession indicators, this is really alarming if we are just recently retired, or if we're getting close to it. Like if we're within, like, say, 3 to 5 years of retirement, that's when these things kind of matter a little bit more. And there's been several studies that have been done on this. This is not just my thought process. Fidelity did a study on this that actually looked at, hey, what happens if you retire and in the first 3 to 5 years of retirement, there's a big downturn, right? Or in this situation, potentially a recession, and it causes the markets to go down when you're pulling out money in the very beginning. Guys, unfortunately, it's really ugly numbers. The chances of failure, which means running out of money or not having enough money to live the way you want, increases 600%, 6 times. 6 times more likely to not live the way we want or to not have enough money to do those things if we have a downturn when we're pulling money out the first 3 years of retirement. Guys, that's a big one. So when we're seeing these signals, it doesn't mean that we take it as the gospel, that things are going to go wrong. But we need to be prepared and think, okay, how is my portfolio protected? Where is my income going to come from those first 3 to 5 years of retirement, so that this type of situation, if it does happen, it doesn't blow me up. It doesn't stop me from being able to retire. That's the idea, right? Because when Fidelity did the study, and the study is based on what they call sequence of returns. Okay. When we're all saving money and we're just piling money into those investment accounts and we're not pulling any out, we're just putting money in. We're buying new funds every month that our paycheck goes in there. And when we're doing that, it doesn't really matter if we have a good day or a good month or a good year or a bad year, as long as we're just putting money in. Because in the long run, if we average, let's say 8%, it doesn't make any difference when it goes up or down. If we average 8 and we're just putting money in, we're going to end up at the exact same number. Doesn't make any difference. However, When we start to withdraw from those funds, this is what retirement is, right? So hopefully we have a Social Security income, and hopefully we have a pension. And some people don't. Most people don't have pensions anymore. Hopefully we have other income sources. But if we rely on this savings, this big old pile of money in our 401k or IRA, if we're relying on that to spend, the sequence that the returns happen, like, is this a good or bad year? They matter dramatically. So the Fidelity study showed that if you unfortunately retired with the first 3 years having negative rates of return, 6 times more likely to run out of money. So that's a big one. So when we're putting money in, not as big of a deal, but when we're pulling money out, that becomes a big deal. So even if you've never needed an advisor to look through these things in the past, because you've done a great job saving diligently, putting that money in qualified, diversified assets, letting it grow over time, that exact plan that got us there, unfortunately, is often not the same plan that we need to have when we start distributing the money to live off of. Things change tremendously. It's not just based on risk, it's based on dynamic withdrawal strategies. How are we going to choose to pull those income dollars from the right accounts at the right times? That's what it's based on.
Right.
And study after study that I keep looking at, because this is fascinating for me, because what it basically says is because of sequence of returns, an advisor may not add any value to your life whatsoever if they don't understand that. And think about that again. So all the people out there say, I don't work with an advisor because they're expensive. They're not adding anything for me. Well, to be honest, while you're growing money, you may be exactly right. They may not add hardly any value at all, especially if they're not looking at how you're going to produce your income, how you're going to be tax efficient, and how you're going to transfer that wealth, down the road. If they don't do any of that, you're just getting money management. You probably don't need those guys unless they understand sequence of returns. But when we start to get to that retirement point, when we're planning for retirement, what does retirement mean? It just means we're planning on taking those assets we built up and pulling an income stream from it. That's what retirement is. Whether you pseudo-retire or you're fully retired, or you just want to, not make your $100,000 a year job anymore, you just want to relax a little bit more. That's when that is. That is when a skilled advisor who understands protection, income, and tax design, they're worth their weight in gold. And if they really do correctly and they bucket the money correctly, the withdrawal sequence, they can reduce this almost to zilch, almost to zero. Almost. Now, again, we can't control what the markets are going to do. We can't control what the president's going to tweet, what the administration's going to do, what happens in the midterm elections. But a well-designed plan, it won't matter. So that's probably the big thing. So number one, understand that take this with a grain of salt. But again, when I see the statistic that says, hey, these indicators, when they happen this way, they haven't been wrong in 80 years.
Right.
Right. That's a big one, right? That's a lot different than my weatherman.
Yeah.
My weatherman has not been right maybe once in 80 years. I'm not sure. I haven't really haven't dug through, but I'm just saying, like, that's a big deal. So 5 years, the first 5 years of retirement. So right there at that point of retirement, the first 5 years is what Morningstar calls the danger zone.
Okay.
So if you're within 5 years of retirement, or you've been retired for fewer than 5 years, you're in the Morningstar danger zone. That is a great time to just seek out a holistic financial advisor who doesn't just do money management. That does no good. You want someone that looks at everything all together. How does the taxes work based on this? Should you consider trust planning? How are those assets allocated? Are they in the right buckets for your income mix? The income producing assets, are we demanding that asset grow and spin off income? Because it's really hard to serve two masters. We really want something that focuses on income explicitly to create that income, and then something that can grow on its own, right? So we just need to make sure we're doing that, because 5 years is a big deal. And what we can actually do about this is really huge, but it all comes down to structure. It's not investments. It's not investment strategies. It's structure. How is your money structured? Where do you have your taxable dollars? Where do you have your tax deferred dollars? Where do you have your tax free dollars? Where is your safe money and your risk money? And what buckets and what asset do you pull from when things are good or things are bad? Believe it or not, those seem like simple yes or no or up or down questions. That is truly the mathematical quandary. Everyone's different. Every single person's different based on what they own, where they own it, what they own it in, and how long they want to stay retired and with what amount of money, right? So that's why it's all very personal. So even if you've never needed an advisor in the past, but you're within 5 years of retirement, or if you recently retired, make sure you're getting a second opinion. Make sure you look at that, because I don't think that the next recession is going to be a short-lived one, only because we've been running up so long and so hot, I am more fearful it won't be like a 2008, which took a couple of years to recover. I'm more fearful it'll be like a dot-com bust, a 2000, 2001, 2002, where unfortunately there's a little bit more carnage and it just lasts a lot longer. Because guys, if we go back that far and look at what happened in the dot-com bust, if someone retired then, the money did not get back, assuming you didn't pull any out until 2007. But then what happened in 2008? The next punch in the mouth. Yeah. Now, if you had had a well-designed and structured income plan, even in 2000, you could have potentially sustained and had no issues throughout that whole sequence of returns. But that's what I'd see fewer and fewer people having these days. That might be a good reason to think about, hey, maybe I should go get a second opinion from someone. Even if I don't like advisors historically, what can they offer? Can they add value to my situation? Because most of the time people are just looking for, well, hey, I got 11% return last year. Can you beat that? Guys, that's not the thing. The thing of it is that can you get to retirement and stay retired comfortably for the duration? Whether you last to be 85 or 95 or as old as Methuselah, it won't make any difference if you know that that income is sustainable and income is the outcome. Guys, you can live to fight another day.
Jon and his team, they are here to help you with that second review process, give you that once over. If you are looking for somebody that specializes in retirement in this holistic, independent advisory type of way, that's what they are at J. Hagan Capital, and they are here to help. If you've got questions, reach out to us. You can find us anytime, retirementsolutionshow.com, or click on the links we've got posted here in the show notes.
Thanks for listening to the Retirement Solution Podcast with Jon Hicks. Begin the conversation about your savings plan with Jon and the team at J. Hagan Capital by visiting retirementsolutionradio.com. Be sure to listen to Jon's radio show, The Retirement Solution, Saturdays at 8 a.m. and Sundays at 9 a.m. on News Radio 840 WHAS.
J. Hagan Capital Incorporated is not licensed in all 50 states. To find out if J. Hagan Capital Incorporated is licensed in your state, please call 502-690-5635. J. Hagan Capital Incorporated is not affiliated with nor endorsed by the Social Security Administration or any other government agency and does not provide legal or tax advice. By contacting us, you may be provided with information about insurance and annuity products offered through J. Hagan Capital, LLC, NPN number 1882794.